Earlier today, I had the chance to speak with Senate Majority Leader John Thune, a Republican from South Dakota, about the status of the shutdown and what can be done to end it. Here's part of that conversation. Majority Leader Thune, thank you so much for being here. I understand you want to get this shutdown over with. When are you going to get in a room with Senator Chuck Schumer and the Democrats and sort this out?
Well, I mean, I think that, I don't know, there's a lot to sort out, Tom. I think right now it's a pretty straightforward proposition. You know, we've got a bill sitting at the desk in the Senate that's been passed by the House of Representatives that the President is prepared to sign to open up the government. And it's 24 pages long. It's very straightforward. No partisan riders, no policy riders, no gimmicks. It's a nonpartisan clean, we call it, continuing resolution to keep the government funded and to enable us then to have the time to do the rest of the annual appropriations process, which is something that both sides, Republicans and Democrat senators, have wanted to have happen for a long time. So it's that simple of a decision right now. I don't know that there's a lot to negotiate. They want to talk about other issues. Those other issues, I'm more than happy to have that conversation, but I don't think you can keep this hostage. As soon as they release the hostage, then we can talk about those other issues.
I get it, Senator, but are you on the phone? Are you reaching out to Senator Chuck Schumer? Is he calling you, or is it a stalemate and there's no communication?
Well, I mean, we have conversations, and I'm assuming we'll have more. Back in tomorrow, we'll have another opportunity to vote to end the shutdown tomorrow. And I would suspect that we'll probably cross paths on the floor. We're both on the floor quite often. Our offices are not far apart. So if he wants to chat, he knows where to find me. But I think at this point right now, the issue set is pretty straightforward. I don't know that, you know, a negotiation is going to accomplish a lot. This is a 7-week funding resolution just to keep the government funded so we can continue doing the appropriations work that we started earlier this year.
Your colleague in the House, Speaker Johnson, is at the White House, from what we understand right now, speaking with President Trump. Do you have any understanding if this has to do with the shutdown?
Well, my assumption is any meeting right now probably has something to do with that. I think there are other issues, obviously, too, that whenever I go down to the White House and meet with the President, there's usually multiple issues that get covered. But my assumption is, yes, they're probably having some conversation about that. On that is, and of course the House has already acted. The President's anxious to sign the bill. It's really a function now for the United States Senate, and it really comes down to a handful of Senate Democrats. Yeah. We had three that have voted with us now the last couple of times. We need 5 more, and we can get the government open again.
Senator Thune, we've seen a number of federal government websites post political messages blaming Democrats for the shutdown, which has never been done before. Is that an appropriate use of taxpayer dollars?
I don't, you know, look, I'm not... I think what, you know, government agencies ought to be doing is the job and the work, and that's what I try to stay focused on. There is a blame game that goes on every time there's a government shutdown. I don't think that's constructive. I don't think it's about who wins and who loses. I think the people that lose in this are the American people, and probably most specifically federal workers. So I'm all about getting it back open again. I think shutdowns are nobody wins, and I think honestly, for the most part, they're stupid. We really shouldn't be shutting the government down, and it shouldn't be taken hostage to do other policy things that are totally unrelated to funding the government.
Speaking of that, we have heard from the OMB chief, Russell Vought, that layoff notices could go out today or tomorrow. The president has threatened many of these could be permanent. Does the president have that authority?
Well, I don't know that. I think the president and his team probably have the authority to manage the government. That's what, you know, that's what they're tasked with doing. That's the office that he sought.
But can President Trump permanently lay off federal workers?
Well, my assumption is, again, with respect, there are probably laws that govern some of these positions. But if you shut the government down and make decisions about how to move money around, how to reallocate resources, what to prioritize in terms of departments and agencies and individual employees in different places. That's what this does, which is why this is avoidable. All you have to do is vote to reopen the government, and then these questions that you're asking me become irrelevant. And so it's really that straightforward.
Let's talk about some of the sticking points here, right? Democrats have stated that one of the reasons that Republicans have stated that one of the reasons Democrats don't want to because they want to give health care to undocumented immigrants. Democrats say this is a lie. One of the ways some in your party say those undocumented immigrants have been getting health care is through the emergency room, where doctors have an obligation to treat people. Do you want doctors to start checking immigration papers before they render life-saving care?
I think doctors and hospitals, as part of their Hippocratic oath, probably treat whoever comes into the emergency room. But I think the broader issue here, Tom, is that a lot of people who came into the country illegally under the Biden administration were given a status. They are here illegally in this country. They're non-citizens, and they were benefiting from the ACA, from Medicaid, from Medicare. And there were some states that really pretty much played a game in how they created their Medicaid system so they could take full advantage of federal funding and then use that funding to cover illegals. It's been done, and that's one of the reasons we tried to shut that door with the bill that we passed last summer. And what the Democrat bill does is it goes in and repeals all those provisions in the law. So, you know, they're not wrong to say that there are people who are non-citizens in this country who got into this country illegally that would be covered by free health care if, in fact, the Democrat proposal were to become law, because it repeals everything we did last summer, and that was to shut down some of those programs and some of the ways it had been abused. And the state of California is probably the perfect example. I think the total number there of spending is somewhere in the $30 billion plus range that California has used to take advantage of certain sort of loopholes, if you will, to be able to cover illegal immigrants.
Senator, you know, in this interview, you've made it clear that you do not want a shutdown. You want to get the government working and people getting paid. Some people, critics, have said this is actually not about the House or the Senate or Republicans or Democrats. This is actually about a power grab. This is about the White House wanting more power. So how comfortable are you when President Trump targets blue states during this showdown, blocking funds for things like infrastructure projects in New York that have already been appropriated by your Congress? I mean, are you okay with this?
Well, again, Tom, let's come back to the basic premise. This is avoidable. Keep the government open. We don't have to have the government shut down. We fund it. Straightforward way. Very simple. Nonpartisan, clean funding resolution to keep the government open. The Democrats are playing with fire by doing this. Yes, the Trump administration, Russell vote at OMB, I'm sure they're going to make decisions when it comes about how they allocate resources, where they prioritize spending in their management of a government shutdown that's going to be based on, you know, where they think it's, you know, their political priorities lie. I think that's a natural assumption to make. And it's the reason, frankly, that back in April, I think Democrats voted to keep the government open because they didn't want to give the president and his team that much authority. It's very simple. You avoid this by just voting to keep the government open, and we'll have an opportunity to do that tomorrow.
And finally, on that point, you do have Democrats like Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez who have been very outspoken about holding the line on this shutdown. Do you think people like her are forcing Senator Schumer's hand?
Sure they are. I mean, he's under a tremendous amount of pressure. The far left activist base in his party is what's driving this, and they want to fight with the president. This is politics. You know, they're trying to make it about something else, but the truth of the matter is their base desperately wants them to pick a fight with President Trump, and they've chosen this. They picked this hostage. I don't think it's a smart one, and I think it undermines what they're trying to accomplish in the long run. But it's a fight they picked, and Senator Schumer has deployed this tactic. The Senate Democrats have followed him, at least up until now. But I think that we still have a chance for them to come to their senses and do what I think is the right thing, and is to keep the government open. And then let's talk about how we address some of these issues that they want to address.
Senator Thune, we thank you for your time tonight.
Thanks, Tom. Good to be with you.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.